your sit bones higher than your knees. And we'll bring our palms towards each other in Anjali Mudra if that's comfortable, or there's always the option of Gyan Mudra, bringing the thumbs to the forefingers and resting your hands in your knees. Invite your eyes to close and shift your awareness here to the length of your spine. Movement of your breath. Just connecting here, notice how your physical self is feeling this morning. Noticing areas of constriction or congestion within the body. Also areas where your breath is able to move freely. You might even notice that the body begins to settle the longer we sit in this stillness. Just a simple act of turning the gaze inwards starts to calm the physical body, helping muscles release their secretly held tension and stress. You might feel that as a loosening of the hip flexors or of your shoulders. You might feel that as the ability to breathe a little bit deeper. Inviting here a full and complete inhale. A nice long and slow exhale. Maybe here bringing some awareness to those slight pauses at the top of each inhale, at the bottom of each exhale. You might even choose to exaggerate these pauses, lengthening them just a little. And if you're distracted by thoughts or if you're distracted by feelings this morning, just very kindly bring your awareness back to this thread of your breath. There's not a lot that we're able to control in this world, but our practice, a reminder to the self to continue to return to this stress-free and mindful space is something within our ability. From this place of stillness, inviting a connection with your reason for practicing this morning. It might be purely physical. It might be wanting to connect with a sense of ease and relaxation. As you find your intention, let's roll the shoulders back, find a light lift to your sternum. You can take the sound of Om. You're welcome to join in chanting or to simply listen. Let your next inhale prepare you. Next exhale, bring your chin inward. Settle your palms down to your knees if they're not already. And as you lift your chin upwards, let's just turn this into a simple circling. A simple circling of your neck, inviting as you circle some softness and ease into your jaw. And some space between your back teeth. I'm going fairly slowly with these circles, making them as big or as small as serves you this morning. The next time your chin is drawing in, we'll pause here and reverse the direction of your circles. We'll do one more circle here. Let's stop our circling with our chin inwards, gaze down. No rush if you're not at the bottom of your circle yet, but we'll all meet here. Good, with your chin inwards, gaze down, shrug both shoulders up towards your ears, creating some compression here, and then soften your shoulders back and down. Good, keep your gaze downwards, but bring your chin so much inwards that you can feel the back of your neck starting to align a little with your spine here. Good, keep this alignment neck with spine as you track your chin upwards a little or a lot. This is really gonna decide or depend on how you're holding tension today. And so we'll exhale, gaze down, chin in. Inhale, gaze up. You might also find a little release of the facial muscles. You can get there by making a funny face, sticking your tongue out, or opening your mouth wide like a yawn. Spending a little bit of time this morning on a neck, but honoring the fact that the neck is so interconnected with all of the other muscles of the body, especially these muscles of the face, our shoulders, our arms, down to our wrists and our fingers. Let's pause the next time you find your gaze center. Bring the lobes of your ears in alignment over the shoulder blades. Keep your chin parallel to the ground here. Take an inhale, extend your fingertips up. Exhale, take a simple rotation to one side. One hand to the opposite knee, gaze backwards. Good, here you might take that silly face, maybe yawning, maybe sticking your tongue out, opening your eyes really wide. Get silly and then relax your face. Nice deep breaths here, holding this seated twist. Good, everything from the neck down is going to stay the same, but on your next inhale, just rotate your gaze, looking out over the opposite shoulder. So hands stay twisted, lower body stays twisted. Gaze looks different. Nice full inhale here. Full and complete exhale. And an in breath, let's come towards center. Extend your arms up. Exhale, bring yourself into your second side twist. Gaze over your other shoulder. Spine rotated. Backhand here, pressing down, helping lengthen your spine. Good, next inhale, we'll just take that little rotation over the opposite shoulder of your chin. Looking away, holding the twist in your lower body, breathe deeply. And next in breath, bring your whole body back towards center. Extend your fingertips up, nice and tall. Join your palms over your head and bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, heart center. Good. If, like me, you've been cross-legged for a little while, we'll take a switch in the cross of our legs. We're going to stay seated, stay cross-legged. You may or may not be lifted on a seat. It's fine if you are. Bring your palms back to Anjali Mudra, heart center, but here, entwine your fingers. Press the palms of your hands forward, straight arms here. With your palms pressing forward, arms straight, shrug your straight arms back into their shoulder sockets. So from the side, it's gonna look like this. We're kind of rounded as that naturally, and we're shrugging in, really bringing the shoulder blades flush onto the back body. From here, shrugging in, extend your arms upwards. Always the invitation to bend slightly at your elbows. If the shoulders feel especially tight here, keep your neck in a line with your spine. Good, see if you can invite a softness into your jaw here. Nice deep breaths. This is a very chest opening pose, so we get more access to oxygen when we're in this shape. Big inhale. And complete exhale. One more big in breath. As you exhale, release your hands down to your lap. Give your shoulders a couple of rolls. We'll come forward with our shoulder rolls. Good. Let's begin to find some tick-tock side to side movement. So opening up these side muscles on the neck. Good. Let's pause the next time we have one ear reaching towards one shoulder. We were discussing this earlier, but for anyone who might be tuning in on Facebook or after the fact, if you, like most of us, are going to be tighter on one side than the other, you're going to take a little longer on that side. So you might ignore the cue to switch, or you might move early to the second side if you know that's your tighter side. And so you could stay here, gaze forward. You could play rotating your gaze down or forward, but keeping the same ear oriented towards the shoulder. We're looking for this sweet spot, that spot where you're best able to release any tension that you're encountering here. And then pause as you find that sweet spot. You might even hinge your jaw, really inviting that softening to go all the way up into your jaw. If you'd like more here, without pulling, take the hand of the shoulder that you're stretching towards and drape it on your head. So we're simply using the natural weight of your hand to enhance the stretch. Never pulling. If this is too much, there's always the option to lay your hand back down. Very often, less is more in our practice. And then come to the breath here. If you're encountering tension here, you might even close your eyes and visualize your breath as having a color. You should give your breath your color. You might envision that color going to any area of tension that you see. And this breath you can visualize as magnetized, so drawing towards it that stress. You might give the stress another color. I like to picture it as little flecks of dust kind of attaching to your breath. That way, as you exhale, you're visualizing the stress leaving your body, the tension that you might be encountering. You might stay here, other arm resting in your lap, or you might play with how it feels to press your other arm away from you. Fingers are stretching up towards the ceiling here. You can rotate into that wrist. So very often these muscles in the neck go all the way down the arm to your wrist. You'll play with bringing one finger at a time to your thumb. So thumb to pointer finger, and middle finger, ring finger, pinky, and slowly working your way back to your thumb. And with your next exhale, let's release both hands to your lap. Bring your head back towards center. Close your eyes here. Closing the eyes, picture your cervical spine, the bone in your neck, and bring that into alignment with the rest of your spine. So not leaning forward, not leaning backwards, just right in a straight line. Find a very gentle tucking of your chin, the softness in your jaw. And you might even imagine that somebody's kind of tugging upwards on the skull, kind of what the chiropractor does, that little tug and lengthening here. Big in-breath here. A sigh of an exhale. We'll open the eyes and we'll take the second side if you haven't gone there already. And so as we come to the second side, again, taking that time to determine on this side, do I want to keep my eyes forward? Do I want to look up or down? What's going to serve me best? Really taking the time to look inwards and to feel rather than simply putting your body where it was on the other side. You might stay here both hands down, or you might take that variation of resting your top hand on your head. That's the hand of the shoulder you're stretching towards. Just noticing if that's too much, there's always the option to bring your hand back down. You might close your eyes, coming to that color visualization of the breath. This is something that's actually been scientifically proven to work. When you visualize something happening within the body responds. So picture your breath helping release any tension that you might be encountering here. Maybe staying here, opposite hand down, maybe pressing your hand away from your body, bringing that hand up to shoulder height, starting with your fingertips pointing up to the ceiling. And then we'll take that into a little wrist roll. Maybe staying here with that wrist roll, or taking that little thumb to each finger, one at a time. Moving slowly here, really keeping your awareness inwards. And the next exhale, let's bring both hands back to your lap if you haven't yet. Close your eyes and bring the lower lobes of the ears in alignment with the shoulders. Find that sensation of lengthening. And we'll take just another nice round, nice all the way around. Good, and so a reminder, these videos do stay posted on the Facebook group. So if you ever want to go back in, if you're feeling really tight and you're like, where's that neck thing? I'm gonna go back and label this so we'll know that the first, let's say, gosh, about 15, 20 minutes of class are neck release. So you can always go back and just do this little sequence again. Good. A couple times up and down. Big stretch of the arms. Nice big stretch. Bring our hands towards each other and we'll find our way onto our hands and our knees. And so as always, give yourself some extra padding if you need it beneath your knees. Hands can land directly beneath the shoulders. We'll come into our cat and cow here. So on an inhale, find that broad back of your cow pose. Drop your belly down, lift your gaze up. Exhale, press into your hands and your knees, releasing fully the weight of your head. Good, let this movement come with your own breath. Let it be like a wave, moved by each inhale And each exhale. Good, a couple more times here in our Chakravarkasana, this rolling cat and cow. And next breath, let's come to a neutral spine, gazes down. If they're not already, spread your fingertips wide apart from each other here, middle fingers pointing forward. Curl your 10 toes under. And when you're ready, we'll bring it up into our first Adho Mukha Svanasana, our first downward dog. So we have done nothing to warm the legs up here. So let yourself walk the dog, bending and straightening into opposite knees. Let your knees be as bent as they need to here, but do try to keep that angle of the hips reaching up and back, away from your wrists, away from those middle fingers pointing forward. And if it doesn't cause you pain, neck here is long, head is heavy, might even take a little motion side to side. Might take this opportunity to make another silly face, helping release those facial muscles. Good, on an inhale, let's lift the heels up, lift your gaze, walk yourself towards that top short line of your yoga mat. As you arrive, use a second inhale, bring your fingertips to your knees, lengthen here. Reach the crown of your head away from your sit bones, then surrender inwards into the shape of the forward fold. Inhale, both hands to your hips, roll your shoulders open using an exhale, rise here, come into your mountain pose. Nice big inhale, get tall. Exhale, bring your palms together, heart center. Inhale here, reaching up, lift your heart, lift your gaze. Let your exhale pour yourself forward over that line of your hips. Knees can be as bent as they need to here. Let your next inhale rise halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Spine parallel to the ground, gaze down. Exhale, soften inwards here. Good here with hands down, either on the ground, maybe up on your blocks. Step your right toes backwards. Keep that knee lifted, heel free. So toes down, heel free. Good, and blocks here just help to bring that ground a little bit closer to you. So if the ground feels far, blocks are a really nice option here. Let your body settle into the shape. Find an action of pressing back through your right heel, lengthening along your spine, almost as if you can create space between your vertebrae, extending forward through the crown of your head. Good, let's plant both hands down on the ground. We're moving to downward dog, so unless you like blocks for your downward dog, scoot those out of the way. Lighten into your hips here and step your front foot back, coming into that shape of Adho Mukha Svanasana. Spine here nice and long, and if your legs need a little bit more loosening and opening here, come back to that alternate bending and straightening. Use your fingertips pressing down to lengthen into your side body. It's going to help lengthen into your spine. Do yourself the favor of not trying to hold up the weight of your head here. Head is heavy, neck is long. Inhale here, lift your heels up, float yourself forward. We're in Phalakasana, or plank pose. Press back through your heels, forward through the crown of your head. Nice inhale here. Exhale, lower knees, chin, chest to the ground. Then release fully the weight of your body here. Bring both elbows underneath your shoulders, coming to our Sphinx pose. As we come to Sphinx, if your low back is bothering you, go a little wider with your heels. It's going to release any tension or pressure in your lumbar spine. Good, lift your gaze so that your chin is parallel to the ground here. Take a nice inhale, isometrically pull your elbows towards your hips. And then exhale, looking over one shoulder. Remember which shoulders. We're gonna do the other shoulder next time. Breathing here. Soften into your jaw. Maybe here's a place where you'll stop and make a silly face. Let's inhale, bring it forward. Exhale, lower your heart, walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Press yourself up into hands and knees here. Good, from hands and knees, lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring that hand through, threading it between the right hand and the right knee. Good, my left cheek is coming to the ground pretty easily here, but if yours isn't, you might take one of your blocks, use that as a pillow underneath your head. If you have a folded blanket or even an actual pillow nearby, you might do that. If it's not already, walk your right hand in front of your nose. Good, that action is going to stack your right shoulder over your left. For many of us, this is going to be the stopping point. We're coming into our thread the needle pose. So you might stay here, or you might take that right leg, walk it out to hip height. So there's a pretty straight line here from my hip to my knee to my heel. Heels pressing upwards, toes are pressing downwards. And again, what that's doing is that's keeping this right shoulder nice and stacked over my lower left shoulder. So you might stay here, heel up, might take the Iyengar variation of this pose, which is walking your toes forward, hooking the big toe of the right foot with your peace fingers of your left hand. All of these are options. You stop wherever it serves you. And maybe that right hand will wrap behind your spine, grabbing for the left thigh. Keep breathing wherever you are. Good. If that right hand is behind your back, place your hand again in front of your nose, elbow pointing upwards. If your leg is extended, invite your knee inwards underneath the right hip. We'll use an inhale, press into your right hand, free your left hand outwards. Return your body to hands and knees, tabletop position. Spread your fingers wide here. Grip your mat with your finger pads. Curl your toes under, and at an inhale, bring your hips up and back. Coming back into the shape of our Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Let your spine be long here. Reach your hip points up and back, away from your wrists, away from those fingertips pressing down. These big full breaths here. And an inhale, lift your heels, lift your gaze forward, walk your toes to that top short line of your yoga mat. Use your next in-breath to lift your body halfway. And then exhale, surrender inwards into the shape of forward fold. Bring your fingertips to your hips, roll your shoulders open, then use an exhale, rising here. Inhale, stretch tall, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands come to heart. Inhale here, reaching up, lift your heart, lift your gaze, then exhale, pour yourself forward over your hips. Take your half lift here, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, surrender inwards, grab for those blocks if you're using them on this side. Take a big step back with your left foot. Good, hands here, stay underneath your shoulders, spine nice and long, back heel is free. Breathing here, let your body open into the shape. Find that action of pressing back through your lifted heel. Make that a strong backwards line of energy. Stretch and extend, lengthening into your spine. Stretch the crown of your head forward, gaze is down. Good. If you have blocks beneath your hands here, scoot those out of the way so that you can bring your palms fully to the ground. Spread your fingers wide, press into your palms, invite your right foot back, coming into our second time Adho Mukha Svanasana. Second round, I should say. Side body long. If you're feeling tightness in your shoulders, you might go wider than your yoga mat with your hands. Tightness in your low back might take that same action with the feet going as wide as or even wider than your yoga mat. Make these little adjustments. Adjust the practice to be personal for you. Next, inhale, roll forward. Center your shoulders over your wrists. Come into the long line of your spine of your plank pose here. Feeling head, heart, and hips in a straight line. And then we'll exhale, bring it down to the ground. Knees, chin, and chest. 8-pointed pose here. And then release the weight of your body. As your body softens downwards, slide your elbows forward. So forearms to fingertips here, connected to the ground. We have a nice straight line from the shoulder to the elbow. And so what we don't want is this acute angle with the elbow backwards and the heart lowered. So really lift your chest up here, coming to our Sphinx pose. Good, always the option to go wider if your low back is feeling a little pinchy here. Walk those heels and feet wider away from each other. Find this action of isometrically moving the elbows backwards. That means you're making the muscular action to slide your elbows towards your hips without actually doing that. Good, gaze here lifted. Rotate your chin, looking over opposite shoulder. I was demoing right last time. I'm on left this time, in case you can't remember. Steady breaths here. Maybe make a silly face here, looking backwards. Next, inhale, walk your gaze forward. Hands are going to come in underneath your shoulders. Here, we'll lower the heart. Lift your whole body upwards, coming to hands and knees, tabletop position. Good, at an inhale, extend now the right fingertips up, stretching up to the sky, then thread the needle, bringing the right hand in between your left wrist and left knee. And again, always an option to pad your head as your head comes down to the ground. Give yourself something so that your head is not dangling in the air. You're not going to get the same benefit if your head is up in the air, not supported here. And if it's not already, walk your opposite hand in front of your nose. Keep your elbow pointing up towards the sky, stacking our left shoulder over our lower right shoulder. And then check in. Notice how this feels on this side. This might be exactly what you need. If you'd like to go further, walk your left foot out to the left, just like a kickstand on a bike. Good, and that's going to facilitate this pressing of shoulder, upper shoulder over lower. Maybe you'll stay here, heel up. Maybe you'll take that Iyengar variation of walking your toes forward, hooking the toes with the peace fingers now of your right hand, lowering the heel. Maybe your top hand, that front hand in front of your nose, wants to wrap behind your back, grabbing for the right thigh. All of these variations, there's always an opportunity to take one variation and just decide that on this side, it's really not doing it for you. Wherever you are, keep breathing. And if that left hand is behind your back, go ahead. Release your hand back in front of your nose. If your leg is long, invite your leg back in, knee landing beneath your hip. And then an inhale, we'll press into your hand. Release your other hand outward, settling wrists beneath shoulders, coming back to our tabletop position. Curl your 10 toes under. Spread your 10 fingers wide. Inhale, hips up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Second side, second time. Breathing deeply. And on an exhale, let's bring both knees back down to the ground. As your knees come down back to our tabletop position, release your elbows down. Just as we did in Sphinx pose, we want this nice straight line from the middle of your shoulder to the middle of your elbow. So we're avoiding that acute angle. Keep your gaze down, but draw the back of your head up towards the ceiling so that your neck aligns fully with your spine here. Good, this might be what serves you. Okay, if you're already getting a nice stretch into your shoulders here, go ahead and stay here. We're moving though towards our dolphin pose. So if you'd like to go into dolphin, curl your 10 toes under. Keep your elbows and forearms and palms of your hands all rooted down. On an inhale, lift your hips up and back. So lower body looks very much like our downward dog here. Head, what do we do with our head? We have a few options. We could keep our gaze back towards our toes. Now my head is not on the ground. There's space underneath the crown of my head. Another option is to peel your gaze forward, looking towards that top short line of your yoga mat. Breathe in here. Next exhale, if they're not already, let's bring both knees down to the ground. Press your hands down, coming back to our tabletop position. And let's take a seat in your mat. So it might be kneeling. For me, that's very comfortable. It might be cross-legged if kneeling's not your thing. You might utilize a block or between your heels, anything that's comfortable in a low body. Good, let's take an inhale here. Extend your fingertips away from each other. Yeah, shape of a T. Stretch out through your fingers. And just like we did earlier in class, plug your straight arms into the shoulder sockets. You're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together in your back body. Good, rotate your palms up. Cross right arm over left, stacking elbow over elbow. So we're garudaing or doing our eagle arms. So you can start here, reaching backwards for your shoulder blades. Keep your elbows lifted. So elbows are just underneath or in front of my chin. You could, if you want, bring the back or the palms of your hands together. If you choose to do that, don't do that at the expense of losing that elbow to elbow connection. So if we bring the back of the hands together, but the elbows do this and separate, stay here, reaching for the shoulders, keeping your elbows nice and lifted. If your elbows are together here, or even if they're not, we're going to draw your neck in alignment with the spine. So notice the tendency to lean forward. Most of us have that. Bring your earlobes in alignment with your shoulders. And you might lift up even a little bit higher. The next exhale, unwind your arms. Bring your hands back down to your lap. Find alternate shoulder shrugs. So we're moving pretty quickly here, almost like a little shimmy, a little dance move. Alternate shoulders coming up and down. Good, take an inhale here, stretch your arms wide away from each other. Reach and extend out through your 10 fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other. And we'll take the second side of our eagle arms, wrap now left arm on top, giving yourself a big hug. You keep your elbows lifted, so avoiding this tendency to hug and drop the elbows down towards the chest. Keep your elbows lifted. And checking in on this side, we might keep reaching for the shoulder blades, or we might take that eagling of the arms, bringing the back or the palms of your hands together. Notice whether or not your neck is in alignment with your spine. Good. Notice if you're holding tension in your jaw or your temples. Maybe find that slight lift of your fingertips upwards a little bit higher. It's going to be subtle. And then inhale, unwind, stretch your arms away from each other. Yeah, release your hands down to your lap. But again, alternate shoulder shrugs, little shimmy here. Good. We will come to our back bodies. So as you come to your back body, if you are using blocks today, you may or may not want one handy. So if you might want it handy, you might just put that block somewhere where it's reachable, where you can get it once you come onto your back body. And so as we come to the back body, we're coming, laying down on the back with our knees bent, feet on the ground, about hips-width distance apart. Good, press your feet down, bring your palms down by your side, palms by the hips, palms facing down. Thighs and shins both want to be parallel here. Feet are drawing in towards your sit bones, almost close enough to brush them with your fingertips. So you don't necessarily have to grab your heels with your fingertips, but they're almost close enough that you just almost can. Good, press equally into both feet here. Use an inhale, lift your hips away from the ground. Exhale, lowering back down. So we're doing simple bridges here. Now your hips can come up a little or a lot here. Let your inhale lift your hips up. Exhale, coming down. Move with your own breath here. Each inhale rising. Each exhale softening. So we could stay with this. This is our dynamic or moving bridge pose. Each inhale lifting, each exhale lowering. If you'd like a little more stretch, if you'd like to go deeper here, then the next time you lift, keep your hips lifted. Roll your shoulders inwards so that your arms and hands can join underneath your body here. So interlacing the fingers, keep your shoulders drawing inwards. Good, keep pressing through your heels here. Let that action lift your hips. Gaze here is directly up towards the ceiling. Breath is steady. Good, if your hands are interlaced, let's release them here. Walk your shoulders back out to the side of your body, lower your hips. Good, and here's where we might grab for that block. So reaching for your block, press your hips up again away from the ground. Slide the block so that it's underneath your sacrum. So my block is on its shortest height. It's very stable. Now, if my block were to come here up into this lower curve of the back, I wouldn't feel so stable. I'd feel like it was going to fall. So you really want this block almost underneath your butt. You're looking for that nice, firm triangle of your sacrum. Sacrum and tailbone here, pressing down into your block. If you feel steady here,
You might choose to lift your heels up. So this is our variation of our shoulder stand, this queen of the yoga poses, so named by BKS Iyengar, one of the grandfathers of modern yoga in the United States. And so option to stay here, feet lifted, enjoying this nice restorative version of our shoulder stand. Now you can stay here. If you'd like to take the classic shoulder stand, I'm going to go ahead and teach that. So feel free to hang out here. You might even mute me if you just want to kind of enjoy hanging out in this restorative shoulder stand. If you'd like to take the classic shoulder stand, we're going to first bring the hips fully to the ground. You're going to make a commitment to keep looking upwards as you're in the shoulder stand. So I'm going to do a quick demo, and then I'll walk you through that. So don't do this because I don't want you looking at the screen while you're in this pose. So just watch first, and then we'll walk through it together. So we could hang out here, or we can bring the heels up and walk the elbows closer. And that's our dismount. So if you're doing full shoulder stand, start on hands and knees. Swing your knees inwards so that your feet and hips come away from the ground, and then slide your hands to the low of your back. So as your hands come to the low of your back, you're doing the same action we did in our lifted bridge of drawing your elbows towards each other. That's creating a really nice strong foundation, keeping all the weight from landing on your sensitive neck. Keep the gaze upwards towards your ceiling, towards your toes. You might find that little angle with the hips going one direction, feet going the other. It's our Viparita Karani. Or you might lift the heels up, bringing them more or less in a straight line from your hips. Or again, you might have your hips supported by the block in our nice, juicy, restorative shoulder stand. So wherever you are, keep an awareness and a breath. You might wiggle a little bit into your toes. Just enjoying this reverse relationship to gravity that we've set up for you here. So often it's feet down, head up. Here you get to experience the opposite with all of its benefits. This draining of the lymphatic system. Steady breath. We'll hang out here for a little bit wherever you are. If you want to come out early, there's always the opportunity to do so. Please listen more to your body than you do to any suggestion I might make. And to come out of this, we'll begin to bend into your knees. If you're in full shoulder stand, gently roll your spine down one vertebrae at a time. If you have that block beneath your seat, when your feet come down, lift your hips, slide the block out of the way. And then we'll just come over onto your belly. Flipping right over onto your belly. As you land in your belly, slide your elbows beneath your shoulders, coming back to our Sphinx pose. And you might recall if you're experiencing that low back discomfort in Sphinx, walk your feet a little wider, make space for your low back. And draw the outer edges of your arms back here. Rotate your chin to look over one shoulder. Keep your breath nice and steady. Inhale back through center. And exhale, looking over your opposite shoulder. Inhale your gaze back to center here. And stack forearm over forearm. And so the ideal, if you're comfortable, is to tuck your chin in, rest your forehead on your hands or your forearms. And you can always go a little higher here by stacking fist over fist. If that's uncomfortable, you can take the chin, resting your chin down in your hands or your forearms. Coming here into your crocodile pose, you might soften your hips from side to side. And let your body relax here. From here, take a flip back onto your belly. Onto your back. Let your legs lengthen long and your hands come down by your side. Let any remaining tension drain out of your body here as we come into the resting pose of Shavasana. If your low back is talking to you, you might take a block and set one block beneath each knee or a pillow. Or invite the breath to move freely. Making space for it to come and to go. Let your eyes close as you rest deeply here. This corpse pose, this pose of integration, helping you receive all of the mind and body benefits of this practice.
And let yourself sense your body resting here. Bring an awareness to each part of yourself that's connecting down. Inviting here a fuller inhale. Longer exhale. You're going to find those small movements in your body, fingers and toes. Wrists, ankles. As you're ready, stretch your fingers back, stretch your toes forward. A nice long line stretch of your body. I'm going to invite your knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees. And some nice movement side to side, rocking here. Use your top hand, press your body up to a comfortable seat. As you arrive, invite your palms towards each other. Chin inwards here. And simply observing here in this moment, your body seated, your breath vibrant. Thank yourself for creating this time to mindfully connect with your mind and your body and your breath.